Hello, students. Welcome to the seventh online lecture for the subject of sociology. We will continue with the second chapter of our textbook, that is Basic Concepts in Sociology. Dear students, in the previous lecture we studied the concepts of society and community. We also tried to analyze the differences between these two concepts at the end of the lecture. In this lecture, we shall try to examine the concepts of social group and primary group. Let us first try to understand the concept of social group. Society consists of groups. It starts with an aggregate of people. However, mere collection of people in a physical area does not make them a social group. Aristotle said that man is a social animal and further remarked that he who does not live in a society is either a beast or an angel. All human beings live in groups. Man cannot live in isolation for a long time. Man's daily life is made up largely of participating in groups. Our life becomes boring and our survival becomes problematic without our fellow human beings. Thus, a completely separated or isolated individual is purely hypothetical. Group is one of those terms which in common usage lacks exactness. We use the word group to mean such groups as family groups, racial groups, age groups, etc. The word group is very loosely used. Sometimes it is used to refer to entire human group. Sometimes it refers to a small group of two or more individuals. It is not used with any specification. Ogben and Nimkov have defined social group by saying that whenever two or more individuals come together and influence one another, they may be said to constitute a social group. Harry M. Johnson says that a social group is a system of social interaction. Thus, we can say that a social group indicates A. Number of people with same goals and expectations. B. Regular social interaction. And C. Common characteristics. Let us now move on to study the characteristics of a social group. They are: number 1, collection of individual. Number 2, interaction among members. Number 3, mutual awareness. Number 4, we feeling. Number 5, common interest. Number 6, group norms. Let's go in detail. Number 1, collection of individuals. A social group is a collection of individuals. Social group consists of people. It could comprise of two or more people. Without individuals, there can be no group. Just as we cannot have a college or a university without students and teachers, we cannot have a group in the absence of people. Thus, a smallest group comprised of minimum two or more individuals, like two friends, husband and wife, etc. The other examples of a social group are family, an army, a peer group, etc. The next characteristic of a social group is that there is interaction amongst its members. Social interaction is the very basis of group life. A social group is in fact a system of social interactions. The limits of social group are marked by the limits of social interaction. There is some kind of regular and conscious interaction among the group members through direct or indirect communication. They behave in a similar way to pursue some common interest. Example, the members of a trade union meet to ensure that the rights and interests of its members are protected. Number 3, mutual awareness. Group life involves mutual awareness. Group members are aware of one another and their behavior is determined by this mutual recognition, which is extremely important for a group life. Number 4, we feeling. We feeling refers to the tendency on the part of the member to identify themselves with the group. It represents group unity. We feeling creates sympathy and also fosters cooperation among members. It helps group members to defend their interest collectively. It is this we feeling which also leads to a sense of solidarity. The solidarity of a group is largely dependent upon the frequency and the emotional quality of the interaction of its members. Unity is maintained by conscious efforts. Number 5, common interests. A social group is characterized by common interests. Groups are mostly formed and established for the fulfillment of certain interests. It is for the realization of these common interests that the members of the group meet together. In fact, men form groups for the realization of their objectives. The members of the group also behave in a more or less similar way for pursuing certain common objectives. Example, a debating club is a social group. Their common interest is debates, makes them a part of debate club. All members have a common interest of wanting to improve their public speaking skills. Number 6, group norms. Every group has its own rules and norms which the members are supposed to follow. These rules may be in the form of customs, folkways, mores, traditions, etc. They may be written or unwritten norms or standards. Each group also has its own way of punishing or correcting those members who go against the rules. These rules also define the behavior that is expected in a particular circumstances. Classification of social groups. There are several classifications of social groups. Primary group and secondary group is one of them. The concept of primary group is coined by American sociologist Charles Horton Cooley in his book Social Organization. He has given a detailed analysis of the concept of primary group, whereas sociologists like Kingsley Davis, Ogben, McIver have popularized the concept of secondary groups. Let us first try to study the characteristic and importance of a primary group. The concept of primary groups is a significant contribution of Charles Horton Cooley to social thought. The classification of groups into primary and secondary is made on the basis of the nature and character of social interaction. Primary groups are also called face-to-face groups. They are found in all societies. The primary group is the nucleus of all social organizations. It is a small group in which a few people come into direct contact with one another. They meet face to face for help, companionship, and discussion of common questions. They can be referred to as the we groups. They are universal groups functioning in all states of cultural development. The self is developed and molded by the primary group relations. Examples of primary group are family, neighborhood, peer group, friends club, children's playground, etc. Let us move on to study the characteristics of a primary group. They are: number 1, physical proximity; number 2, smallness of the group; number 3, permanence of relationship; number 4, face to face relationship; number 5, similar objectives and goals; number 6, relationship is an end in itself; number 7, informal control; number 8, relationship is personal; number 9, relationship is inclusive; number 10, relationship is spontaneous. Let's go in detail. Number 1, physical proximity. Physical proximity is an essential characteristic of primary group. Face-to-face relations can be found only if members reside in a particular area more or less permanently. Seeing and talking with one another facilitates the exchange of ideas. Playing, traveling, studying together all are regarded as extended symbols of close solidarity. Thus, physical proximity provides an opportunity for the development of primary groups. Number 2, smallness of the group. The primary groups are smaller in size. Effective participation of the members is possible only when the group is small in size. The more smaller the group, the more intimate it is. It is the size of the group which changes its character. The increase in the size of the group will have a negative effect on the intimacy of the members. Thus, smallness of the group is essential. Number 3, permanence of relationships. Relationships in the primary groups are relatively long and enduring. They are generally long lasting and continuous. The longer the group remains together, the deeper are the contacts between its members. Social ties deepens with time. Number 4, face to face relationship. Primary groups are characterized by close and intimate relationships. There exists a face to face relationship among the members. In a primary group, everyone knows everyone else, one's name, one's status, occupation, level of education, etc. Close contact between them increases intimacy amongst the members. These face to face relations are commonly seen in small groups like family, neighborhood, and so on. Number 5, similar objectives and goals. The members of a primary group have similar objectives and goals. This holds them together. The group is relatively durable because of those common objectives. The members respect each other and share all kinds of feelings which foster solidarity. The similarity of goals also provides mental pleasure and contentment to the members. Number 6, relationship is an end in itself. The relationship in the primary group are very natural. It is regarded as an end in itself, not as means to an end. It is neither utilitarian nor it is motivated by any economic gain. It is intrinsically enjoyable. There is no room for any kind of selfish motives in primary relationships. True love between husband and wife or true friendship between two people is, for example, beyond the consideration of any selfish motive. Number 7. Informal control. The primary group does not exercise formal control over its members. The control is based on emotional bonds. It exercises informal control over its members so that they behave in ways approved by the society. It provides security to the members and regulates their behavior through unwritten rules and regulations. The members also conform to the group norms as they do not want to face disapproval at any time. Number 8. Relationship is personal. In the primary group, the interest of each is centered in others as person. The relationship disappears if the particular person disappears. The relationship is non-transferable and irreplaceable. Example, relationship between husband and wife is such that no third person can replace any one of the two. Number 9. Relationship is inclusive. The individual in a personal relationship is not an abstraction. Individuals are treated as complete human beings. All persons of the group are fused together completely. Individuals know each other very well. Different sides of the member's personality are known to all the other members. Number 10. Relationship is spontaneous. A purely primary relationship is voluntary. It is not planned. It is not based on any contract. Relationships develop between members naturally and spontaneously. Example, relationship between mother and child, husband and wife are pure, voluntary and spontaneous. Importance of primary groups. After learning about the characteristics of primary groups, the question that comes to our mind is that are the primary groups important for an individual? Well, definitely the primary groups are of great individual as well as social importance. They are the medium through which we learn culture. They prepare the individual to lead a successful social life. They socialize individual and give proper shape to their personalities. Number 1. Humanizing agents. The primary groups enact the role of a humanizing agency. Primary groups teach the child social norms, standards, morals, beliefs, values, and the ideas of the society. They introduce to the child the culture of the society. They emotionally condition the child's personality. The primary groups are the nursery of human nature, according to McIver. Number 2. Development of personality. Primary groups, particularly the family, is the chief molder of human personality. The primary group is the source of our ideas of love, freedom, and justice. Fair play, equality, submission to the will of the group, and willingness to sacrifice are characteristics of family groups. They have a great impact on the personality development of the individual. Primary groups mold our opinion, influence our actions, and determine our loyalties. Number 3, satisfaction of psychological needs. Primary groups satisfy many psychological needs of the individual. People get mental happiness, contentment, and security from primary groups. They get the advantages of companionship, sympathy, and exchange of thoughts and feelings. Primary groups reduce mental tensions and emotional stresses and strains. Primary group is an individual's noble center of human affection, love, and sympathy. So, students, you all must have realized the importance of primary groups in your lives also. They are the group in which we live and control much of our activities. They are extremely important in an individual's life. Here we come to the end of today's lecture. We will study the remaining concepts of sociology in the next lecture. Thank you.